Hey, good afternoon. In this segment, this video is gonna talk about Flying Eagle cents and Indian Head cents. Okay, this is a video for the newest winner, or actually previous winner from July. Garrett Buddy, thanks again for your contribution, and for everyone else being such big fans of my work. So we can't start the Indian Head series without at least starting with the Flying Eagle. It was kind of a transitional type of piece between the discontinued large cents, and the reason why those were discontinued is they weren't widely circulated toward the back end of its duration, which is 1857, and copper was just getting way too expensive. It used to be, and by this time it still was, that each coin had to have the intrinsic value of the metal. So at that time, 1 cent of copper just got way too expensive. So they've downgraded the coin. And the first iteration is what you see right here. This is the Flying Eagle cent. All right, they made these for 3 years, 1856 all the way to 1858. 1856, as you know, was an extremely low mintage year. Some would say it's even a pattern coin of some sort, and decent examples fetch well beyond $10,000. This is an 1858 example that you see here. Grade's about a VF. You have lots of detail on the feathers, which is an important mainstay in this grade. And this is it looks like the small letters variety. There's a large letters, and there's really not one that's more rare than the other. The reverse, again, adopted something similar to what the large cents were, and this is its own modified reverse with the 1 cent, and then you have a wreath that goes around it. Alright, so very short-lived series. The coins in higher grades, anything VF and above, tend to get a little pricey, and the mid-state examples are just ridiculous. And they're widely collectible for such a short, series. Okay, so something that might interest you guys, the 1857. There is a trio of really nice die clashes, varieties that are very sought after and very collectible. And believe it or not, they still exist there in the marketplace. Okay, so that's the Flying Eagle cent. And let me get a couple coins here. And since we're doing something historical, I'm not going to show you, a whole bunch of coins, but I'm going to kind of progress it for you. So the example you see here is in 1862. Now keep in mind, in 1859, there were a number of different patterns that existed, a lot of test pieces that were made to kind of, I guess, try out the different designs and surfaces, wear patterns, and everything else that involves the trials. For the first several years, the Indian Head cents were not only thick in size, as you can see right here. It's about 1.5 times as thick as a standard penny or cent. And these were called white cents because of the composition, and they were 75% copper, 25% nickel. So after a while, even the mid-state examples were a lot lighter colored than a copper example, which was also in the same grade. All right, there is a reverse. Again, the design is more modified. These were designed by James Longacre, and it's a 50-year series. So it goes from 1859 to 1909. 1859 to 1864 is where you would find the thick cents, the white cents is what they call it. And there were 2 dates with mint marks, and that was 1908 and 1909. And your rarest date, contrary to popular belief, is 1877. Not so much rare as it is more expensive. The lowest mintage was the 1909S. So this is the 1862. This one grades out at about a VF as well. One of the telltale signs of the series is this ribbon right here. The more diamonds that show up, and the most is 4. So if you had 4 diamonds, it would grade out at least an XF. That was kind of one of those characteristics or diagnostics that would determine a grade in these, along with the Liberty on the band. Now, something you might keep in mind with these Indian headsets, they're collectible not only as collecting for a set, but they're also equally collectible for the varieties that you find in these. The most sought after varieties include the 1888 over 7 in this one, which, you know, if you find one that's in worn shape, would easily command about $1,000, I would think. I've never personally found one, but there have been a few that have been cherry-picked over the years. Another one is the 1873 doubled Liberty, where the Liberty and the headdress, the headband right there, would be doubled. Okay, and the foremost expert in varieties, actually the attributor, his name's Richard Snow. He's a life member of the ANA, and he has a website called IndianScent.com. Extremely informative website, and the rare varieties were typically attributed by Snow. So that 1888 over 7 would be a Snow 1. And each date would have, you know, a set of Snow numbers depending on how many different varieties are. And it could be as simple as a repunch of one of the numbers in the date, or probably some misplaced digits in like the pearls of the necklace or in the denticles are a couple examples of different varieties. So this is an 1892. It's a common date. But as you can see, this is the newer composition. It's 95% copper, 5% zinc. All right, everything is the same. The wreath design and the shield is also on there. And you can tell it's a lot thinner. You know, it's more reminiscent to the thickness of your current scents. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple more pieces. This is a 1908S. Now this one grades out at about a fine, but it's all original, never been cleaned. If you were to buy or collect a whole set and you wanted some of these key dates, I would highly encourage that you go through a dealer, see it for yourself in person, because some of these have been counterfeited in the past. The higher grade ones definitely go with something that's slabbed. So the mid mark, if you could see where my fingernail is right here on the thumb, is right under the bow of the wreath. That's a tiny little S. That's the traditional position. Just over a million of this date were made, and typically, you know, in fine to VF, they range anywhere from $75 to $100. Relatively easy to obtain, and there's really no shortage. Now here's one of the key dates in this series. This is a 1909S, and this one grades just around fine. You know, you have a number of the letters in Liberty still evident in this. If it comes to the point where you can't see any of the letters, you're in VG territory. But you got to make sure there's quite a bit of design detail left in the headdress. All right. And here's the reverse. There you go. You got a tiny little S again, same position. And this was the final date before it came into the Lincoln scents. They kind of overlapped. They did a little bit of these Indians, and then they also produced the Lincolns during the same period. So that's why there's a 1909 for both series. But that's kind of like a quick little synopsis of the Indian headset series. It could get really involved, especially if you're into variety hunting. What I tell most collectors is, if you take a bracket of years, if you took the whole series of 50 years of Indian headsets and you kind of compartmentalize the series, so you only do maybe a decade's worth and collect all the varieties, that would be definitely the best way to go. It's to keep you more focused on finding certain varieties, and it's going to also help you save money. There have been numerous times where I've tackled this series and I just had to kind of give it a break because I ended up spending so much money buying the individual varieties and I was doing less cherry picking. I was all about, I needed an 1866 or an 1867 repunch date, and at the same token, I needed to get that 1894 double date, the famous one that's in the Red Book. So if you kind of narrow it down to a certain date range, or if you did all of the 1900s, you're going to find yourself enjoying this series a whole lot more, because even if you pick 1907, there's well over 100 varieties in that particular date that it could get overwhelming. And trying to find all of them is half the battle. So that wraps up this segment. Hope you guys enjoyed Indian Head Scents and the brief little 1-minute part on the Flying Eagle. If you guys have questions, comments, please go ahead and comment below or send me a private message. Would love to hear it. And for those of you that are big-time collectors in the series, please go ahead and comment as well. Throw in any advice for the new people that are interested in getting into this series. And, that help is greatly appreciated, not only by myself, but everyone else as well. Thanks again, guys, for watching, and I hope you guys have a fantastic afternoon, and I'll see you on the next show.